Welcome to Rare Coin Gallery. In today's video, we invite you on a journey through time, a journey that starts with small pieces of metal, but reveals great stories of history, art, and unexpected fortune. We're about to explore 17 coins from the United States and Canada, 17 tiny masterpieces that hold mysteries and values far beyond their face worth. Stay with us till the end, because among these coins could be one sitting quietly in your drawer, waiting to change your life. There's something magical about the sound of a coin hitting a table, a sound that carries decades, sometimes centuries, of human hands, trade, and survival. These coins have lived through wars, recessions, and rebirths of nations. Some have been forgotten, others rediscovered. And today, we begin this treasure hunt with one of the most fascinating coins in modern American history, the 1982 D 1 cent. The 1982 D penny may seem ordinary, but it represents a turning point in the history of U.S. coinage. That year, the United States Mint made a major change, switching from solid copper cents to copper-plated zinc. For the first time since 1909, pennies were no longer made mostly of copper. But transitions are never perfect, and somewhere between the old and the new, an incredible era was born. This era, the 1982 D small date copper penny, became a legend. While billions of zinc pennies were produced, only a few copper versions slipped through the Denver Mint's presses. They were struck on leftover copper planchettes meant for earlier issues. For decades, collectors hunted for them like hidden gold. And when one finally surfaced, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Imagine holding a coin worth just 1 cent, yet appraised at over $18,000 at auction. That's what makes this coin so special. The 1982 D copper small date penny is a reminder that miracles can exist even in everyday change. Every true collector knows the thrill of possibility, that quiet moment when you flip a coin under a light, checking the color, the weight, the date. For the 1982 D, the difference is subtle but powerful. A copper penny weighs 3.11 grams, while the newer zinc version weighs 2.5 grams. That tiny difference can mean the difference between a cent and a small fortune. Across the United States, coin enthusiasts started weighing their 1982 pennies. Thousands of people, from kids to elders, began searching through jars, drawers, and old piggy banks. Some found nothing. A few found treasure. Collectors describe the 1982 D copper penny as the perfect mystery. It hides in plain sight, indistinguishable from billions of others. It carries the Lincoln portrait, the familiar, "In God We Trust," and the same wheat-brown tone that every penny wears. Yet beneath its simple face lies a story of change, oversight, and chance. In Denver that year, the Mint's machines ran day and night, striking new zinc planchettes. But in the noise and heat of production, a handful of old copper blanks were fed into the press. When those coins came out, no one noticed. They were packed, shipped, spent, and vanished into circulation, lost among millions. It took over 30 years before collectors realized the scale of the mystery. By 2016, only one verified example of the 1982 D small date copper penny had been confirmed by major grading services. That discovery sparked a modern-day gold rush. Every video, every article, every whisper in collector groups reignited hope. People rushed to their collections, grabbed scales and magnifying glasses, hoping to be the next lucky finder. Because this coin proved one thing: even the smallest object, overlooked for decades, can rewrite numismatic history. The coin's physical design carries classic beauty. Abraham Lincoln's bust faces right, just as it has since 1909, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. The D Mintmark sits proudly below the date, a quiet signature of Denver's craftsmanship. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands with solemn dignity, an American monument immortalized in copper. But for experts, the story doesn't stop at design. They talk about die varieties, large date versus small date, subtle differences in the thickness and shape of the numbers. To the naked eye, they look identical, but to a trained collector, they're worlds apart. Finding a small date 1982 D in copper is like spotting a star in daylight. Only the patient succeed. It's a test of focus and faith, to keep searching among thousands for the one coin that feels slightly heavier, glows slightly deeper, and tells a story the others can't. Many collectors have called it the lucky penny of America. Stories circulate of people discovering one in old rolls of pennies inherited from grandparents. Some say they sold for 4 figures overnight, others, still unverified, sit locked in safes, waiting for the right time to be graded. Grading plays a huge role. If you find one, condition matters as much as rarity. A dull, scratched example may fetch hundreds, but a bright red, lustrous coin can soar past $10,000. Professional certification from PCGS or NGC is essential to prove authenticity, because this penny's fame has also inspired countless counterfeits. Fake versions often fail the weight test, or show signs of alteration where the D Mintmark was added. Experts recommend using a digital scale accurate to 2 decimal points and a magnet. Copper isn't magnetic, zinc sometimes shows slight response. Even small details tell big truths. What's amazing is how one small change, from copper to zinc, created an entire generation of collectors. Before 1982, pennies were rarely checked by the public. After 1982, everyone looked. Parents taught children to weigh pennies, hobby shops sold digital scales, and news stations ran stories of lucky finds. Economically, the shift was logical. Rising copper prices meant the metal in each penny cost more than 1 cent. But sentimentally, the public resisted change. The 1982 D copper penny became the symbol of that resistance, a piece of old America trapped inside modern minting. Each surviving copper 1982 D penny carries a strange duality. It's both a mistake and a masterpiece. An error by men, but a miracle for collectors. Over time, legends grew. Some claimed thousands still hide in circulation, others believed only a few escaped. The truth remains a mystery, and that's what keeps the hunt alive. Even today, in 2025, videos, blogs, and collectors' forums buzz with new finds. Every few months, someone posts photos of a suspiciously heavy 1982 D, sparking debates and excitement across the community. The coin's story also teaches patience, that persistence is often rewarded. Many treasure hunters spent years searching, and though most found only regular zinc versions, they discovered the joy of collecting along the way. The 1982 D copper penny doesn't just represent money, it represents hope. The belief that the next coin you pick up could be special. That history still hides in ordinary places. In auctions, verified specimens are treated like celebrities. When one appears, collectors around the world tune in, waiting to see how high the bids will climb. Each sale resets expectations and keeps the legend alive. And beyond value, this penny connects generations. Grandfathers teaching grandkids about metal composition, young YouTubers filming their hunts, families bonding over jars of old change, all because of a coin worth 1 cent. If you think about it, that's the true magic. A tiny coin, nearly weightless, powerful. Enough to inspire millions. So next time you find a 1982 penny, especially one with a D Mintmark, pause for a second. Feel its texture, check its date, maybe even weigh it. You might be holding more than a penny. You might be holding a story, a lesson, and a chance. Because in the vast ocean of ordinary coins, a few carry extraordinary destinies. The 1982 D copper small date penny is proof of that. We move next coin. The year 1986 was a time of transition for America, a decade of innovation, power, and pride. But deep within that year's minting presses in Denver, another small piece of history was being shaped, the 1986 D Lincoln 1 cent. At first glance, it looks like any other penny you might find in your pocket today. Yet its story reveals just how fascinating even the most common coins can become once time, condition, and rarity collide. When the 1986 D penny rolled off the Denver Mint presses, the world was very different. The U.S. Mint was refining its new copper-plated zinc composition, introduced only a few years earlier. Though the alloy had stabilized by 1986, tiny imperfections still emerged, bubbles beneath the copper coating, weak strikes, off-center details, or doubled dies, each turning an ordinary cent into a collectible curiosity. Every coin tells the tale of its creation, and the 1986 D is no exception. Struck by high-speed presses using steel dies engraved with Abraham Lincoln's dignified profile, it embodied both precision and imperfection. Collectors noticed that many 1986 pennies bore subtle doubling in the date or the letters, Liberty, a microscopic flaw that instantly elevated their value. Denver's D Mintmark became the silent signature of craftsmanship. Billions were struck that year, yet a handful stood apart because of how perfectly, or imperfectly, they were made. For serious collectors, finding a flawless 1986 D cent in bright red, uncirculated condition is like uncovering a preserved relic of the 80s era. What gives the 1986 D penny intrigue is not its scarcity alone but the world it represents. It was a coin minted in a time when gas cost under $1, when computers were becoming household items, and when pennies still carried emotional weight in American life. Despite its abundance, condition and error define its worth. A 1986D with full luster and no contact marks can fetch $5 to $25 in Mississippi 65 grade, but with doubling or a minting flaw, values can skyrocket to hundreds. Some examples have sold for over $1,000 because of striking errors so rare they've become legends among enthusiasts. Consider the die crack variety, a thin line of raised metal running across Lincoln's bust, caused when the steel die itself fractured slightly. Each crack pattern is unique, giving the coin a kind of fingerprint, a one-of-a-kind signature. Then there are the off-center strikes, where Lincoln's face seems to drift toward the rim, leaving part of the design missing. Such pieces tell stories of human error and mechanical imperfection, reminders that even in precision manufacturing, chance still plays a role. Collectors are drawn to these flaws not because they represent mistakes, but because they capture moments when the mint's rhythm faltered for just a heartbeat, and something extraordinary happened. The 1986D penny also marks an era when coin collecting was quietly evolving. The internet hadn't yet exploded, so discoveries spread slowly, through coin shows, hobby magazines, and whispers in small collector circles. Those who found pristine 1986 pennies often tucked them away, never realizing how much they'd one day be admired. Fast forward to today, and that same coin tells a richer story. Many 1986D pennies in circulation are worn thin, their copper layers dulled, their zinc cores exposed through decades of handling. But a few, just a few, survived untouched, frozen in perfect mint red shine. Those are the gems every collector dreams of. The color grading, red, red-brown, or brown, makes all the difference. A fully red 1986D Lincoln cent in Mississippi 67 condition can bring up to $150 or more, while a brown circulated one may still carry sentimental value, the joy of history in your hand. What truly fascinates collectors, though, is the 1986D's connection to America's identity. Abraham Lincoln, featured on the coin, symbolizes endurance through struggle. In a sense, each 1986 penny carries that symbolism forward, the persistence of small things. Some numismatists even describe this coin as the last of the quiet pennies, minted before the 1990s brought bold font changes and sharper designs. The 1986D embodies the classic Lincoln Memorial look, clean lines, strong relief, and simple dignity. When you turn it over, the reverse glows with symmetry, the Lincoln Memorial centered under the words, United States of America. Each column represents an ideal, justice, freedom, equality, values echoed in metal and time. The minting process of the 1980s was a marvel of engineering. Blanks were punched from zinc sheets, copper-plated, and tumbled until they shone. They were fed into presses that struck over 750 coins per minute. One tiny shift in temperature or pressure could create an error, and thus a future rarity. Some coins were struck twice by mistake, creating dramatic, double strike, errors where two images overlap. Others were struck on foreign planchettes intended for other countries' coins, extremely rare and highly valuable. Each variant adds to the mystery that makes collecting so addictive. When you hold a 1986D, you never know what microscopic detail might make yours different from millions of others. And that's the beauty of numismatics, the discipline of noticing what the world ignores. A slight curve, a tiny doubling, a Mintmark misaligned by a hair, each could mean the difference between a penny and a prize. The market for 1986D pennies in high grades remains steady. Collectors still seek Mississippi 67 and Mississippi 68 examples encased by NGC or PCGS holders. Only a few hundred exist at that level because copper-plated zinc coins scratch and spot so easily. That fragility makes perfect survivors rare. A single contact mark can drop the grade instantly, reducing value by hundreds of dollars. Handling a raw coin without gloves can leave fingerprints that oxidize over time. So for those who find a shiny 1986D and change, the first rule is simple: never touch its surface. Hold it by the edges, store it in a protective sleeve, and consider grading it if it shows strong luster and sharp details. As for value, coins with dramatic errors still break records. In one auction, a 1986D off-center penny with about 25% of the design missing sold for nearly $900. Another with a full brockage error, where Lincoln's face is mirrored on both sides, brought over $1,500. Beyond the money, these coins carry memory. They remind us that value comes from attention, care, and story. The 1986 D penny might still sit in a jar somewhere, waiting for the right eyes to recognize its worth. Even the humblest examples have emotional weight. Collectors often recall finding their first 1986 D as children, marking the moment they fell in love with coins. It's a gateway coin, a simple cent that opens a door to a lifelong passion. In a world obsessed with speed and technology, the 1986 D stands as a symbol of stillness, a reminder to pause, observe, and appreciate the details. Because each penny, however small, represents a moment in America's timeline, a moment that can never be struck again. Some people believe that coins hold energy, that the hands they pass through leave invisible traces of their stories. Imagine how many lives a 1986 D penny has touched: pockets, registers, collections, and memories. Now, in 2025, that same coin has transcended its original purpose. It's not just currency anymore, it's heritage. Each bright 1986 D found today is a time capsule from the Reagan era, a tiny echo of an America that believed in progress and persistence. For collectors, its worth lies not only in metal but in memory. It is proof that beauty can survive decades of change and still shine when discovered again. And so, as we close the chapter on the 1986 D penny, remember, sometimes the most valuable things aren't the rarest, they're the ones that remind us to look closer. Now we'll enter the story of 3 dime. The story of the 1967 Roosevelt dime is one that feels simple on the surface, but behind its plain silver-gray color lies a moment of national change, a story of confusion, scarcity, and transformation in American coinage. This is not just a 10-cent piece, it's a symbol of the U.S. Mint's great experiment during the coin shortage crisis of the 1960s. Imagine holding a dime struck in 1967, small, light, and humble, yet carrying one of the most turbulent moments in modern minting history. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about it. It has Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile, as always, his determined gaze facing left, liberty, and, "In God We Trust," carved along the edge. But the mystery begins when you realize something's missing: the Mintmark. Before 1965, every dime carried a small letter under the date: A, D, for Denver, and S, for San Francisco, or no mark at all for Philadelphia. But from 1965 to 1967, all Mintmarks vanished. It wasn't a mistake, it was deliberate. The U.S. Mint removed them during one of the strangest decisions in American numismatic history. The reason? Panic. In the early 1960s, collectors were hoarding silver coins as the price of silver rose. People were emptying their pockets, pulling coins from circulation, and melting them for profit. The government feared that Mintmarks made the problem worse because collectors focused on certain mints. So, to discourage hoarding, the mint stripped all coins of Mintmarks for 3 years. That's why the 1967 dime is so important. It's a symbol of that chaotic era when America shifted away from silver to a new composition: copper nickel clad. Gone was the 90% silver content that made older dimes sparkle. The 1967 dime, instead, was a mixture of copper and nickel bonded to a copper core, durable, cheaper, and less shiny. Collectors, at first, hated it. To them, the magic of coins was gone. Silver coins were art, clad coins were factory-made steel. But over time, history softened the judgment. The 1967 dime became a reminder of adaptation, of change, of survival. Each one of these dimes carries that transitional energy, an object born in the middle of a revolution in coinage. It's a piece of America's modernization, a pivot point from classic silver beauty to industrial efficiency. No Mintmark meant no obvious rarity, at least not in theory. But time has proven otherwise. Subtle varieties began to emerge, and collectors discovered that even mass-produced coins can hide unexpected treasures. Some 1967 dimes display full torch lines, a detail on the reverse that shows complete sharpness in the torch's flame and bands. These examples are considered full bands dimes and command premium value. In mint state condition, with those crisp details, a 1967 dime can sell for $200 or more. In proof-like or high-grade sets, especially those struck with polished dies, values rise even higher. For a coin with no silver, that's remarkable. What's even more fascinating is that 1967 saw the production of special mint sets, a unique substitute for traditional proof coins. These sets were made with extra care, showing a satin-like finish. The dimes in these sets have a subtle glow, neither fully mirror-proof nor fully matte. Collectors love these hybrid coins because they capture the artistry of proof production during a time of change. If you ever see a 1967 dime with unusually bright luster or glass-like surfaces, you might just be holding one from those special sets. They were struck in San Francisco but, again, carry no Mintmark, maintaining the mystery. Imagine the frustration of collectors back then, trying to tell where their coins came from. No D, no S, no P. It was as if the mint had erased its identity, but that blankness became its own legend. Today, the 1967 dime's story resonates with collectors because it represents the bridge between old and new America, between the age of silver and the age of modern alloys. It's a reminder of when the US faced a decision: preserve beauty or embrace practicality. The answer was both, and despite being one of the most common dimes ever made, finding a flawless example isn't easy. Most 1967 dimes circulated heavily. They were workhorses of the economy, used daily, rubbed, dropped, and worn thin. Each surviving uncirculated piece is a little miracle. In pristine condition, graded Mississippi 67 or higher, these coins shimmer with that unique late 60s brilliance, a cool gray tone with hints of soft gold under light. Collectors treasure that glow, calling it the silver ghost effect, because even though it's not real silver, it still looks like it carries silver's soul. Every scratch tells a story. Every mark, a fingerprint of history. Think about the hands this coin might have passed through: factory workers, soldiers, students, mothers buying groceries, or children using it for bubblegum. Each dime silently recorded a slice of American life. The reverse design, with its olive branch, torch, and oak branch, symbolizes peace, liberty, and strength, three ideals America held tightly during the Cold War era. To have those words and symbols circulating in the turbulent 1960s made this dime a quiet emblem of endurance. The 1967 dime also carries a hidden rarity few people know: the missing clad layer error. Occasionally, due to a minting flaw, a dime was struck without one of its metal layers, leaving a reddish copper side exposed. These rare error coins can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition. Others were struck on foreign planchettes by mistake, thin, undersized blanks intended for other nations. These off-metal 1967 dimes are among the most mysterious errors ever recorded, and when authenticated, they sell for astonishing sums. It's strange, isn't it, how something as tiny as a dime can hold so much history? It's only 17.9 millimeters wide, yet it carries the weight of a nation's economic evolution. When you flip it under light, you'll notice that Roosevelt's profile remains calm, unwavering. He was the face chosen to symbolize leadership through crisis, and it's fitting that his image appears on a coin born from crisis. There's a subtle irony, too. Roosevelt was the man who ended the gold standard for everyday citizens in the 1930s, and decades later, his dime marked the end of circulating silver. In both cases, change was inevitable. For collectors today, the 1967 dime is not about rarity, it's about meaning. It's about holding a piece of transition, a reminder that progress often comes disguised as loss. High-grade examples continue to rise in price, not because they're scarce in number, but because they're scarce in perfection. Finding a flawless dime from this year means finding one that escaped the fate of millions, one that was somehow protected for 58 years. Some coin hunters even search through rolls of dimes hoping to find one with full torch lines, perfect luster, and no contact marks, a modern treasure hunt for something small but significant. Under magnification, the 1967 dime's details reveal how advanced minting had become. The edges are finely reeded, the lettering crisp, and Roosevelt's hair defined in elegant waves. Even in an age of change, craftsmanship endured. What makes this coin special is not its price tag, but its personality. It's the dime that stood between two worlds, the last to whisper of silver and the first to speak of the future. When you hold one, you can almost hear that whisper, a faint echo from the mint, saying, "This is where the old world ended, and the new began." In coin collections, the 1967 dime often stands humbly beside its silver ancestors, but make no mistake, its historical value is immense. It tells the story of adaptation, innovation, and America's determination to keep its coins circulating no matter what. And even though billions were made, each surviving high-grade dime feels personal, as if fate preserved it for someone who truly appreciates its story. So next time you see a dime from 1967, don't overlook it. Look closer. Feel the texture, the smoothness, the depth of the engraving. That tiny coin once carried the weight of an entire nation's change. The 1967 dime reminds us that even the smallest piece of metal can hold great history, that value isn't always measured in silver or gold, but in the stories it tells. Because in every one of these dimes lives the memory of an America that dared to reinvent itself, one coin at a time. Next we move. The story of the 1995 D. Roosevelt dime begins quietly, almost too quietly. It's one of those coins that seems ordinary at first glance, the kind you might find jingling in your pocket change or stuck at the bottom of an old jar. Yet, when you look closer, you realize it holds an entire chapter of America's modern minting legacy. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, that small, D, Mintmark under the year is your clue. Denver, by the 1990s, had become one of the most reliable producers of circulating coins, combining precision, technology, and mass production on a scale never seen before. The year 1995 doesn't sound particularly special, no silver transition, no wartime metal changes, but in the world of numismatics, even calm years can hide unexpected treasures. The 1995 D dime is proof of that. By this time, the U.S. Mint had been perfecting the copper-nickel-clad design for almost 3 decades. The Roosevelt dime had transformed from a simple post-war tribute into a permanent symbol of American endurance. Its small form, its classic torch olive oak design, and its quiet presence made it part of everyday life for millions. Yet, within those billions of 1995 D coins, something special happened. A handful of them were struck with incredible precision, full detail, and mirror-like surfaces. These coins became the hidden gems of the 1990s. Under the right light, a pristine 1995 D dime glows. Its silver-gray surface dances with reflections, and its torch lines, the tiny engraved ridges on the reverse, appear sharp and complete. When collectors find one with full torch bands, they celebrate it as a miniature masterpiece. That perfection isn't easy to find. Most 1995 D dimes entered circulation immediately, rubbed through vending machines, pockets, and decades of use. Only a few escaped untouched, hidden in mint sets, rolls, or forgotten drawers. Today, a high-grade uncirculated 1995 D dime, especially graded Mississippi 67 or Mississippi 68 with full torch bands, can sell for hundreds of dollars. It's not because it's rare in number, but because it's rare in condition, flawless survivors in a world of wear. The Denver Mint produced over 1 billion of these coins, yet perfection remains elusive. That's the paradox collectors love, common coins that become valuable through purity, patience, and luck. Each flawless example is a little time capsule from the mid-1990s, an age of change, optimism, and technological progress. America was booming, and so was the mint's precision. When you hold a 1995 D dime, you're holding more than metal. You're holding the story of a minting process refined by half a century of evolution. You're holding a symbol of balance between art and machinery. The obverse design still carries Roosevelt's noble portrait, a tribute to the president who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, and who championed the March of Dimes campaign against polio. His calm face, his focused expression, his closeness to the word, liberty, everything about this coin whispers dignity. The reverse tells a different story, a tale of symbolism. The torch for liberty, the olive branch for peace, the oak for strength. Together, they represent the ideals America continued to defend into the 1990s, even as the Cold War faded into history. Collectors often say the Roosevelt dime is underappreciated, too common, too small, too easily ignored. But they also know that every decade hides its miracles. The 1995 D dime is one of them. Its brilliance lies not in being rare, but in reminding us that perfection can come from ordinary places. Even a mass-produced dime can become a treasure if time and chance preserve it. The Denver Mint, known for its bold, D mark, carried a tradition of quality. But 1995 saw minor variations, slight differences in die pressure, polish, and strike. Some coins came out with proof-like surfaces, accidental beauties born from fresh dies and careful timing. Those early strikes, crisp, reflective, and full of detail, are the dimes collectors dream of finding in circulation. They are whispers of perfection hidden among billions. In auctions, certified 1995 D dimes with the full torch designation have fetched $200 to $400 in top grades, depending on toning and luster. And if the coin carries rainbow toning, Those rare hues caused by decades of oxidation, prices climb even higher. But beyond the numbers, the 1995 D dime holds emotional value. It marks the end of an era before digital minting became dominant, when coin dies were still hand-finished and subtle imperfections made each batch slightly unique. In many ways, it's one of the last dimes of the analog age, struck just before the mint transitioned fully into laser-engraved dies and computerized control systems. There's poetry in that, a dime minted in a world shifting from paper to pixels, from handcraft to software, yet still carrying the same symbols born in 1946. Each 1995 D dime tells a personal story too. It might have been part of a soldier's pocket change, a child's allowance, or a tip left on a diner counter. Each one has lived, circulated, and witnessed countless small human moments. And for those who hunt coins today, the thrill of finding a perfect 1995 D in circulation feels almost magical, like shaking hands with history. When light glides over its surface, you can see every ridge of the lettering, United States of America, every shine between, e pluribus unum. Its craftsmanship hiding in plain sight. Coin enthusiasts often call this year the mirror in disguise, because while it looks plain to most, it reflects an entire generation of minting excellence. Some collectors even report slight die clashes or double die errors on a few 1995 D dimes, microscopic but valuable. These rare variations can increase value dramatically if certified by grading services. Imagine the surprise, a tiny doubling of a letter, a faint extra line, invisible to the naked eye, yet worth hundreds of dollars to those who know where to look. This is why coin collecting is more than a hobby, it's detective work mixed with history, patience, and luck. And the 1995 D dime remains one of its quietest mysteries. In lower grades, it's still part of daily commerce, but in mint condition, it's a prized artifact of a time when craftsmanship met modern mass production perfectly. The metal composition remains copper-nickel, but its legacy carries gold-like allure for those who understand its story. Each time you flip it over, the gleam reminds you that even modern coins have soul, a reminder that beauty didn't vanish after silver left our money. It simply changed form. When collectors organize their Roosevelt dime sets, the 1995 D stands proudly as a mid-series example of technical perfection. It represents an era of stability after decades of experimentation. There's something satisfying about its balance, the weight, the shine, the precision of its rim. It's small, yes, but unmistakably American. The more you stare at it, the more you realize, this isn't just a dime. It's a small sculpture carrying Roosevelt's spirit and the mint's discipline. And when the world races toward digital payments and invisible money, the 1995 D dime reminds us that real value still shines through touch, sound, and presence. So, if you ever find one that looks brand new, flawless, glowing, uncirculated, don't spend it. Protect it, treasure it. You may be holding a perfect survivor of the 1990s. Because hidden in that tiny coin lies a legacy, a moment when the U.S. Mint achieved near-flawless artistry in everyday currency. And who knows, that little 1995 D dime, sitting quietly in your hand, might just be worth more than you think, not only in dollars, but in history, pride, and the enduring beauty of American craftsmanship. Next, the year was 1999, a year of anticipation, transition, and mystery. The world was preparing to step into a new millennium, and while technology and culture were changing, the U.S. Mint continued quietly crafting symbols of stability. Among them was the 1999 P. Roosevelt dime, a coin that looked ordinary but carried the pulse of an entire era within its small, shining frame. It was struck in Philadelphia, marked by that small letter, P, just below the date. For collectors, that single letter means everything. It's a silent mark of origin, a whisper from the oldest mint in the United States, the one that has produced coins since the days of the Founding Fathers. The Roosevelt dime had already been part of American life for over 5 decades by 1999. Its design, unchanged since 1946, had survived wars, recessions, and cultural revolutions. Yet even as America stood on the edge of a new century, this humble dime continued to carry its familiar portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a symbol of courage, leadership, and hope. When you look closely at the 1999 P dime, you'll notice how crisp the details can be. Roosevelt's hair, his eye, his collar, every line etched with care by skilled engravers using precision machines that represented the peak of 20th century minting technology. But the beauty of the 1999 P dime lies not just in its craftsmanship. It's in the timing. This coin was born at the dawn of the digital age, when America was changing faster than ever before, and yet, its currency still echoed the values of the past. Most people spent these coins without a second thought, buying a cup of coffee, paying a phone call, or collecting change from a gas station. Yet somewhere, tucked in a drawer or sealed in a mint roll, a few 1999p dimes remained untouched, and those untouched survivors are today's treasures. In pristine, uncirculated condition, the 1999p dime shines with a brilliance that few notice until it's held under bright light. The fields mirror light like a silver lake, and the raised edges glisten with the precision of machine perfection. For collectors, the key to this coin's value is the strike. Dimes from 1999p that show sharp, full torch bands on the reverse, the tiny parallel lines at the base of the torch, are the holy grail. These, full torch, specimens are rare and command high prices at auction. Most circulated 1999p dimes are worth face value, but high-grade examples graded Mississippi 67 or Mississippi 68 can reach up to several $100s. It's a striking reminder that sometimes, a dime can be worth more than $1, if it has survived time flawlessly. Philadelphia's 1999 production run was massive, over 2.1 billion dimes were struck that year. Yet perfection among billions is what makes collecting thrilling. The odds are against you, but every roll you open feels like a treasure hunt. And in that sense, the 1999p dime is a perfect metaphor for life itself. Billions exist, but only a few shine bright enough to be remembered. Every collector who holds one in mint condition knows they're holding more than a coin, they're holding a tiny metallic reflection of a turning century. The world was preparing for Y2K, and while computers worried people, the mint carried on, producing beauty in motion. On the obverse, Roosevelt's profile stands as a monument to human resilience. His face seems calm, even determined, as if still guiding the country toward progress, decades after his death. The reverse still tells the same timeless story, the torch for freedom, the olive branch for peace, and the oak for strength. But in the shine of 1999, they seem to gleam brighter, like a farewell to the 20th century. Some collectors believe that the 1999p dime represents the end of an age, the last calm year before the mint entered a new millennium of experimentation and technological change. It was also the final year before state quarters took over American coin excitement, meaning the humble dime quietly held the fort while attention shifted to other denominations. But despite being overshadowed, the 1999p dime never lost its quiet dignity. It continued circulating in millions of hands, a small yet constant reminder of the nation's enduring values. Under magnification, experts often notice subtle die variations, small doubling on letters or torch details that can make one specimen stand out among thousands. Those microscopic differences are what fuel a collector's passion. In the world of numismatics, even a faint doubling of the Liberty or a slightly misaligned rim can make hearts race and wallets open. There's a special magic in finding something so small, so easily overlooked, that holds unexpected worth. The 1999p dime embodies that magic perfectly. Imagine finding one in your change today, after decades of circulation. It's like discovering a time traveler, still gleaming from 1999, whispering stories of the world it came from. The Philadelphia Mint was a symbol of both heritage and innovation that year. Combining centuries-old techniques with modern technology, it ensured every coin struck was a piece of American reliability. The alloys remained standard, 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, yet the artistry remained beyond measure. Every element, from the rim to the torch flame, tells a story of precision. Every reflection reminds you that coins are miniature sculptures, each one a testament to design and discipline. And though the dime is small, its presence is mighty. It's the quietest coin in circulation, yet one of the longest-lasting designs in U.S. history. Collectors who specialize in modern Roosevelt dimes often begin with 1999p as a favorite. It's recent enough to find, but rare enough in top grades to be exciting. When graded by PCGS or NGC, the coin's luster and strike are key. A dime that looks like it was struck yesterday can bring surprisingly high bids from dedicated series collectors. Sometimes, toning adds even more value: golden hues, violet edges, or rainbow reflections caused by natural oxidation. These naturally toned 1999p dimes look almost like works of art. For many, the appeal is emotional. They grew up with this coin, spent it daily, and only later realized they'd been holding a piece of history all along. The Roosevelt dime series may not shout like the silver dollars or the flashy state quarters, but it whispers with quiet authority. The 1999p dime, in particular, speaks of endurance and perfection in silence. It's a coin that connects generations, grandparents, parents, and children, all recognizing the same face, the same design, the same metallic comfort of continuity. Each time you flip it, the sound is crisp, clean, timeless, like the echo of countless transactions that build lives, dreams, and memories. And when you realize how few flawless examples survived untouched, you begin to see this coin not as ordinary change, but as a symbol of time's mercy. The 1999p dime carries the final whisper of the 20th century, an age of craftsmanship, stability, and belief in tangible value. In an era now dominated by screens and digital currency, this little coin remains a relic of something real, something you can touch, feel, and keep. So if one day you open a forgotten coin jar and see that faint 1999p, pause for a moment. Look closely. If its torch bands shine, if its edges are crisp, if its surface glows like a mirror, you may just have a survivor, a perfect dime from the edge of a new millennium. Because among billions minted, a few 1999p dimes escaped. Time unscathed, tiny metallic time capsules, still whispering, "I was there when the century changed." And that, perhaps, is their true value, not just in dollars, but in the quiet echo of history they carry, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be rediscovered by you. Enter the story of quarters. The year 1965 was one of the most significant turning points in American coinage history. The country was changing fast, the space race was on, music was revolutionizing culture, and for the first time in over 170 years, the United States Mint made a bold decision that would change coins forever. That was the year silver disappeared from circulating quarters, and in its place came a brand new metallic composition, the clad coin. The 1965 quarter dollar was not just a new coin, it was a new chapter in the story of American money. For the first time, quarters were made from a copper-nickel composition bonded to a pure copper core. Gone were the shimmering 90% silver quarters that had graced the nation's pockets since George Washington's face first appeared on the coin in 1932. Collectors at the time didn't know what to think. Some saw the new quarters as a betrayal of tradition, while others recognized that the mint had no choice. The price of silver had soared, and using it in everyday coins was no longer sustainable. The world was changing, and so were its metals. When you look at a 1965 quarter, it doesn't shine quite like its silver predecessors. The luster is different, harder, paler, less warm. But the message it carries is powerful. This coin represents the balance between practicality and preservation, between history and the future. Millions of these new clad quarters poured into circulation that year, but the 1965 issue remains special because it was the first of its kind, the first year of a new era. And as every collector knows, firsts in coinage often become the most sought-after treasures. On its obverse, you'll find the proud, stoic portrait of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan, still gazing confidently into the distance, the same portrait that had appeared for more than 3 decades. Yet now, it was framed by a slightly altered metallic hue, signaling that the nation was stepping into a modern age. The reverse remained unchanged, the bold eagle perched upon a bundle of arrows, framed by olive branches of peace, wings spread wide in vigilance. It's a design of unity and strength, fitting for a nation entering uncertain times. But hidden within the minting process of 1965 lies a mystery that still excites collectors today, a rare transitional error that happened when a few silver planchettes from 1964 accidentally slipped into the presses during the first 1965 production run. These error coins, 1965 quarters struck on silver planchettes, are among the most valuable modern errors ever discovered. Some of them have sold for over $7,000, even reaching 5-figure prices when verified by major grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Imagine the excitement. You find an old 1965 quarter in a coin jar, weigh it, and realize it's slightly heavier than a normal clad coin because it's made of silver. That tiny difference can transform a 25-cent piece into a collector's dream. Even regular clad 1965 quarters, if preserved in flawless uncirculated condition with strong luster and no scratches, can reach prices over $50 to $200, depending on their grade. A small fortune for a coin that most people ignore. But the real treasure of the 1965 quarter lies in its story. This was the coin that marked the end of silver in America's everyday change. From this point on, Only collectors would see pure silver coins, the general public would use clad ones for generations to come. Every time you hold one, you're holding a piece of that turning point. A small, round witness to one of the greatest shifts in U.S. monetary history. And there's something poetic about it. The 1965 quarter became both an ending and a beginning. It closed the door on one era of silver craftsmanship and opened another defined by technology and modernization. Many people don't realize that the mint originally struck no coins with mint marks from 1965 to 1967, a decision made to discourage hoarding. That means no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, and no P for Philadelphia. The government wanted to remove the frenzy caused by collectors rushing to save every coin with a mint mark. So, when you find a 1965 quarter, remember, it's from a time when mint marks disappeared entirely, a deliberate pause in the nation's coin identity. Under the right light, you can still see the fine craftsmanship that went into each strike, Washington's cheek and hair rendered in sharp relief, the eagle's feathers still defined even after decades of wear. Collectors often find beauty in these small details, especially in coins that have circulated for over half a century yet still retain traces of their original shine. Over time, some 1965 quarters have developed beautiful natural toning, soft blues, golden halos, or light violet hues, that make each one a one-of-a-kind piece of art. When those toned examples hit the auction market, they often surprise experts, fetching hundreds more than expected because each color pattern tells a story of its own journey through time. And while most 1965 quarters may not seem rare at first glance, the truth is that very few survived in pristine condition. The sheer volume of circulation has worn most down, making mint state survivors increasingly valuable as the years pass. It's easy to forget that this coin, now over half a century old, has seen America through countless moments, from the moon landing to modern times. In that sense, it's not just a piece of currency, it's a time capsule. Every scratch, every mark on its surface is a record of hands it has passed through, of lives, stories, and generations. Collectors often talk about how the 1965 quarter feels different, not just physically, but emotionally. It feels like the start of something new, like the sound of a machine learning to make history in a new language of metal. Some people still recall the excitement and confusion when the new quarters first appeared in circulation. They looked familiar but somehow different, lighter, colder, almost futuristic. That shift sparked curiosity. People began comparing the new coins with their older silver ones, realizing that history itself had changed hands. Today, numismatists treasure the 1965 quarter for that reason. It bridges two worlds, the romantic era of silver and the practical world of modern alloy coinage. And even though billions were made, not all are equal. The few that remain perfectly struck, with no blemishes or toning flaws, are the ones that command attention and respect. The sound of a 1965 quarter dropped on a table is distinct too. Unlike the soft, ringing chime of silver, it has a duller metallic note, a sound that marks the dawn of a new age in American currency. Every collector who studies this coin feels that moment of change. The sound, the weight, the texture, all different, yet all part of something monumental. The 1965 quarter reminds us that progress often comes with loss, but also with legacy. It teaches us that even when the material changes, the meaning remains. In the eyes of the world, it was just a coin. But to collectors, it's a witness to America's evolution, from silver elegance to industrial strength. And so, if one day you find a 1965 quarter in a jar, take a moment before spending it. Look closely. It may carry the weight of more than just metal. It may hold the silent echo of an era that changed everything. Because sometimes, the most ordinary-looking coins are the ones that quietly tell the greatest stories. And the 1965 quarter, more than any other, does exactly that. Now, in 1977, a coin was born quietly in the heart of the United States Mint, Philadelphia. It was a Washington quarter, no mint mark, no fanfare, no special commemoration. Yet hidden beneath its simple appearance was the legacy of a nation still healing, still transforming. This was a time when the American spirit was restless but unbroken, and this small silver-colored disc reflected that resilience. The 1977 quarter carried the same proud image of George Washington that had graced the coin since 1932, a portrait that had survived wars, recessions, and revolutions of thought. Yet in 1977, the world was changing. The Vietnam War had ended only 2 years before. The Cold War was still a shadow over the land, and amidst that uncertainty, people continued to trust their coins, symbols of national strength and stability. Unlike the coins minted in Denver or San Francisco, the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mintmark on its coins that year. So, when collectors refer to the 1977 no mintmark quarter, they're speaking of these Philadelphia-born pieces. Millions were produced, but only a fraction remain in mint state condition today, crisp, gleaming, untouched by time. At first glance, it seems ordinary. A copper nickel coin weighing 5.67 grams, its edge reeded, its luster often dulled by circulation. But under magnification, a 1977 no mintmark quarter reveals a world of craftsmanship, intricate lines in Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers so finely detailed that each looks alive. It's easy to forget that these designs were struck not by hand, but by powerful presses capable of minting hundreds of coins a minute. For collectors, the absence of the mintmark carries special meaning. It signifies origin, a silent signature of the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest in America. Every no mintmark quarter tells a story of where it came from, and of the people who worked tirelessly to strike it. The 1977 quarter represents an era before constant design changes, before the commercialization of the coinage program. It was pure, a continuation of the original idea of money as both utility and art. That simplicity is part of what makes it so beautiful. Many of these coins found their way into the pockets of Americans who never gave them a second thought. They jingled in change purses, clinked on store counters, vanished into vending machines. But the rare few that never circulated, those preserved by accident or foresight, would one day become gems of the numismatic world. Collectors today seek the 1977 no mintmark quarter in its purest form, bright, sharp, perfectly struck, with no signs of wear. Such coins, graded MS-67 or higher, can bring anywhere from $500 to over $1,500 at auction, astonishing for a coin once worth just 25 cents. Yet, the true value lies not just in rarity, but in history. Each of these coins is a frozen moment, a piece of 1977 preserved in metal. It's a link to gas lines and disco music, to the early whispers of technology that would later reshape the world. To hold one is to touch that year itself. Occasionally, minting errors occurred, giving birth to accidental rarities. Off-center strikes, double dies, and broad strikes appeared among normal coins. These mistakes, often unnoticed at the time, are now treasures. A 1977 quarter with a visible doubling on, "In God We Trust," or the date can sell for thousands, especially if in high grade. Collectors describe these error coins as miracles of imperfection. Each is unique, an unrepeatable blend of chance and history. They are reminders that even machines can create art through mistakes. The Philadelphia Mint that produced these quarters was undergoing modernization in the 1970s. New equipment, faster presses, and higher output meant billions of coins poured into circulation. Yet, despite all this progress, quality varied. Some coins came out razor sharp, others soft and blurred. For collectors, those sharp-struck examples are the true prizes. As time passed, millions of 1977 quarters were worn down, lost, or melted. What remains today are survivors, each carrying scratches, fingerprints, and stories of the people who once used them. The ones that escaped all that, pristine, mirror-like, glowing, or like windows back in time. The design of the eagle on the reverse remains one of the most powerful symbols in American coinage. Its wings stretched wide, its posture firm, it's a silent guardian of the nation's ideals. Even in small worn examples, the eagle's defiance shines through, the spirit of America itself, pressed into metal. For those who appreciate coinage as history, the 1977 no mintmark quarter is more than currency. It's an artifact, a testament to an era of both simplicity and change, of a country finding its balance between tradition and innovation. Some collectors say they can feel the past in its surface, the mint's pulse, the hum of presses, the sweat of workers handling trays of glowing blanks. The quarter seems alive because it carries human effort within it. In 2025, collectors value these coins based on grade and rarity. In average circulated condition, they're worth around 50 cents to $1. In high uncirculated grades, that value multiplies dramatically. And in cases of verified errors or exceptional preservation, values can exceed $2,000. But beyond price, it's the symbolism that endures. The 1977 no mintmark quarter bridges the old and new, the end of post-war design stability and the start of America's creative reawakening in coinage. Its history in your palm, unchanged and unwavering. Some examples display natural toning, a rainbow sheen formed over decades of exposure to air. Collectors love these coins for their beauty, no two are alike. They shimmer in gold, violet, and blue, like small captured sunsets. Such natural toning can increase a coin's value by hundreds. There's also emotional value. Many collectors first encounter this coin in childhood, passed from parents or grandparents who said, "Keep this, it's old." Those simple acts of preservation have created entire generations of collectors today. And so, a coin that once meant $0.25 worth of candy has become a symbol of nostalgia, patience, and discovery. Every time a 1977 quarter is pulled from a box, a drawer, or a forgotten jar, another piece of America reawakens. The gleam of that coin is not just light, it's history shining through time. To look closely at its details, Washington's gaze, the precise lettering, the texture of the metal, is to appreciate a blend of artistry and engineering that defines American minting tradition. Each line, each letter, each reeded edge is a record of decisions made by engravers, artists, and engineers who gave metal its meaning. So when you hold a 1977 no Mintmark quarter, remember, you're holding not just money, but memory. You're holding a moment when craftsmanship met purpose, when coins were small ambassadors of national pride. And as long as collectors continue to search, study, and treasure these coins, the story of the 1977 quarter will never fade. It will live on, not in bank vaults or ledgers, but in the hands and hearts of those who see value beyond the surface. It's not just silver-colored metal. It's the reflection of a nation, caught forever in a perfect circle of time. In Philadelphia, a small round disc of metal begins its journey, a journey that will carry it through hands, pockets, drawers, and decades of American life. It's the year 1998, a time when the world is changing rapidly, yet the nation's coinage still bears the same symbols of strength and unity that have graced it for generations. The 1998 P. Washington quarter is born from this blend of tradition and transition. Struck just before the state quarters program began in 1999, it stands as one of the last coins of its era, a bridge between the old design and the wave of change that would soon redefine American coin collecting forever. The obverse of the 1998 P quarter features the familiar image of George Washington, first used in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of his birth. Sculpted by John Flanagan, the portrait carries the strength and dignity of the nation's founding father, his profile crisp and calm beneath the bold inscription, "Liberty." The year 1998 lies below, and just beside Washington's ponytail is the letter P, the mint mark of Philadelphia. For collectors, that small letter holds enormous significance. It tells a story of where the coin was born, of the presses and dies that shaped it, of the people who handled it and the machines that brought it to life. Unlike the later state quarters, which would feature unique designs for each state, the 1998 P quarter retains the traditional reverse, the majestic eagle with wings spread wide, perched upon a bundle of arrows, framed by olive branches of peace. This image had appeared on American quarters for over 6 decades by 1998, and to many collectors, it represents a golden age of design, simple, strong, and timeless. When you hold this coin, you hold the last breath of that design before the flood of modern commemoratives changed everything. Minted in large numbers, over 896 million pieces, the 1998 P quarter might seem common at first glance. But as every numismatist knows, rarity is not the only measure of value. Condition, strike quality, and subtle variations in minting can turn even the most ordinary-looking coin into something extraordinary. Among the millions struck, only a few survived in perfect mint state, uncirculated, gleaming, untouched by time. Those rare specimens, graded Mississippi 68 or higher, command remarkable prices in auctions, often exceeding $1,000. To the untrained eye, all quarters look alike, but under magnification, the 1998 P reveals a world of microscopic artistry. The feathers of the eagle, the lettering around the rim, and the sharpness of Washington's curls all speak to the precision of the dies used that year. Coins with full, deep strikes are prized above all, as they capture every detail of the design in breathtaking clarity. For collectors, part of the fascination lies in the stories these coins silently carry. A 1998 P quarter may have passed through the hands of a cashier, rested in a child's piggy bank, or fallen between the seats of an old car, only to be rediscovered decades later. And yet, somewhere among those billions, a few pristine examples remain untouched, tucked away in rolls, proof sets, or forgotten envelopes, waiting for the day when someone recognizes their beauty and rarity. Error coins from 1998 are especially intriguing. A small number of quarters struck that year exhibit doubling in the lettering, most notably on Liberty or In God We Trust. Others show weak strikes or die cracks, small imperfections that transform an ordinary coin into a collectible curiosity. These minting anomalies, often visible only under close inspection, can dramatically increase a coin's value, sometimes fetching hundreds of dollars from specialized collectors. The year 1998 also marked a turning point in the history of U.S. coinage. The Treasury and Mint were preparing for the massive rollout of the 50-state quarters program, which would debut in 1999. That makes the 1998 P quarter the last of its kind, the final issue of the classic eagle reverse. For historians, it's not just a coin but a symbol of the end of an era. The transition from 1998 to 1999 represents a bridge between old and new, between the timeless uniformity of the past and the creative explosion of the new millennium's designs. Every collector knows that time transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. What once jingled unnoticed in pockets becomes, over the decades, a relic of history. The 1998 P quarter is now over a quarter-century old, and pristine examples are becoming harder to find each year. Coins that remain in brilliant uncirculated condition, stored carefully, never touched by human skin, gleam with a luster that modern eyes rarely see. The metal itself, a copper-nickel-clad composition, tells another story, the story of post-silver America. Since 1965, quarters have been struck without silver, a cost-saving measure that forever changed the look and feel of U.S. coinage. Yet, under the right light, the 1998 P quarter still flashes with a subtle brilliance, a metallic echo of the silver coins that came before. To many collectors, it captures both the nostalgia of the past and the realism of the present. Auction records reveal how the 1998 P has quietly climbed in value. While circulated pieces are still worth only face value, high-grade examples certified by PCGS or NGC as Mississippi 68 or higher are exceedingly rare. Only a handful exist, and when they appear at auction, they spark fierce bidding wars among collectors eager to claim one of the last perfect examples of pre-state quarter America. And yet, the true value of this coin isn't measured only in dollars. It lies in its connection to the rhythm of American life. Every scratch, every dull edge tells a human story, a purchase made, a journey taken, a memory formed. In that sense, each 1998 P quarter is a tiny time capsule, a piece of shared history that continues to circulate among us even now. When numismatists talk about the soul of a coin, they're talking about exactly this, the quiet persistence of meaning, the way a simple object of commerce can carry centuries of symbolism. The eagle on the reverse reminds us of strength, vigilance, and freedom. Washington's calm gaze on the obverse speaks of integrity, leadership, and sacrifice. Together, they turn a small metal disc into something almost poetic. Collectors often describe the thrill of discovery, the rush of finding a coin that others overlooked. That's the essence of the 1998 P quarter's appeal. It's a coin that hides in plain sight. It's out there, still circulating, still waiting for someone to look closely enough to notice. Perhaps the next person who truly sees it will recognize what it represents, the end of one story and the beginning of another. In the world of numismatics, significance often outlasts rarity. The 1998 P quarter is proof of that. It may not be made of silver, but it carries the weight of transition, the reflection of an America standing at the edge of change. It's the last whisper of the eagle before the chorus of 50 new designs took flight. Even today, when you hold one in your hand, there's a quiet dignity to it, the kind that comes from time, tradition, and craftsmanship. It reminds us that value doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it lives quietly in the everyday, waiting to be noticed by those who know how to look. And so, as collectors continue their search for the rarest and finest examples, the 1998 P quarter endures, not just as currency, but as art, as memory, and as a silent witness to the turning of an age. 1985 P Kennedy half dollar is one of those coins that carries the quiet dignity of American history, an enduring image, a familiar weight, and a sense of continuity that links generations. Born from the presses of the Philadelphia Mint, the 1985 P half dollar honors the memory of President John F. Kennedy, a man whose life and legacy left a permanent mark on the American soul. For many collectors, this coin represents more than value. It is a piece of remembrance, a tribute struck in copper and nickel, echoing the hopes of an era that once believed deeply in the future. When you hold a 1985p half-dollar in your hand, you're holding a story that began 2 decades earlier, in 1964, when the Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced. The nation was still mourning its fallen president, and the coin became a way for millions to hold onto a fragment of him. By 1985, the design by Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparro had already become iconic, Kennedy's noble profile on the obverse, and the powerful heraldic eagle on the reverse. It wasn't just a coin, it was a memorial, one that had circulated through decades of history, carrying silent emotion. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 18 million half-dollars that year, each one bearing the bold P Mintmark above the date. While the mintage was large, most of these coins entered circulation, where time and handling erased their mint luster. Pristine examples, those that survived untouched, are now the true prizes of collectors, particularly in grades MS66 and MS67. The 1985p is often overlooked because it contains no silver. By this year, the Kennedy half-dollar had long transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition. Yet, what it lacks in precious metal, it makes up for in story. Its brilliance, when well preserved, mirrors the ambition of the decade it was born in, the mid-1980s, a time of economic confidence, innovation, and renewal. The half-dollar's large diameter of 30.6 mm gives it a commanding presence. Its edge, finely reeded, glimmers under light like 1,000 tiny mirrors. The portrait of Kennedy, youthful and strong, was meant to symbolize optimism and courage, values the mint hoped every citizen would carry, just as they carried the coin itself. Collectors today examine every contour of Kennedy's hair, every shadow along the cheek and jawline, searching for sharp strikes and perfect surfaces. The best examples reflect light like still water, a true sign of careful minting. But beyond its craftsmanship, the 1985p half-dollar carries human meaning. For many, it was the coin given by grandparents, saved in old cigar boxes or tucked away in drawers. It reminds people of a time when every coin mattered, when change jingling in a pocket could still buy something real, and when the nation's memory of Kennedy was still vivid in every household. In circulated condition, most 1985p half-dollars are worth around 75 cents to $1. But when found in uncirculated mint state, their value jumps dramatically. An MS67 specimen can reach over $500, and coins with proof-like surfaces or extraordinary luster have fetched even higher prices at auction. The most fascinating aspect for collectors, however, lies in the minting anomalies. Occasionally, a 1985p half-dollar was struck slightly off-center, or with doubled lettering on, Liberty, or, In God We Trust. These errors are extremely rare, but when found, they can command prices in the thousands. Such coins remind us that even machines can make mistakes, and that those mistakes can become treasures. The Philadelphia Mint of 1985 was a hub of modernization, transitioning to more advanced minting technology. The presses ran day and night, producing millions of coins per day. Amid the mechanical rhythm, the Kennedy half-dollar stood out, large, elegant, and instantly recognizable. By 1985, half-dollars were rarely seen in circulation. People had stopped using them for everyday purchases, preferring quarters and dollar bills. Yet the mint continued to produce them, largely for collectors and special distributions. That scarcity in use would one day enhance their appeal. In hand, the coin feels substantial. Its weight, 11.34 grams, is reassuring, solid, grounding. It connects the holder to a lineage of coins that once symbolized power and honor. To flip it over and see the eagle, its wings spread wide, clutching arrows in an olive branch, is to glimpse the ideal of strength balanced with peace. The design itself remains one of the finest examples of modern American engraving. Gilroy Roberts' sculpting of Kennedy's hair is intricate yet natural, and Frank Gasparro's eagle on the reverse conveys both grace and authority. Even after decades, it remains one of the most admired pieces of coin art in U.S. history. For those who study coins, the 1985p is a bridge between two eras, the golden age of the silver half-dollars and the more practical, clad coinage of modern America. It carries both nostalgia and realism, both beauty and efficiency. Some collectors cherish their 1985p half-dollar not because it is rare, but because it is theirs. Perhaps it was the first coin they ever collected, the first they found in near-perfect condition, or the first that made them realize that every coin is a piece of art. Others keep it as a tribute to Kennedy himself, a man whose vision for America was cut short, yet who remains immortalized in the currency of his nation. Every time a collector polishes the surface of a 1985p, it's like polishing the memory of an ideal. In today's numismatic market, this coin's value continues to grow, especially for top-graded specimens. The appeal lies in its balance between accessibility and rarity. It's not impossibly hard to find, yet perfect examples are treasures. Many collectors describe the Kennedy half-dollar series as the heart of modern coin collecting. It's where patriotism meets artistry, and where every piece tells both a personal and national story. When examined under magnification, the 1985p half-dollar reveals a dance of light across its surface, tiny grooves, delicate textures, and the faint shimmer of mint frost. These are the fingerprints of craftsmanship, invisible to the naked eye but preserved for eternity. Even the sound of the coin, the solid ring when it's gently tapped, is distinct, resonant, unlike smaller denominations. It's the voice of American metal, echoing through time. If one were to trace the path of a 1985p half-dollar through history, it would weave through homes, collections, and memories. It might have been carried by a young collector, gifted by an elder, or passed along unknowingly in change, only to be rediscovered decades later. There is a quiet nobility to this coin, a presence that commands respect. It doesn't need to be flashy, its value lies in what it represents. A story, a man, a nation's grief turned into art. Even after nearly 40 years, the Kennedy half-dollar remains one of the most recognized and beloved coins in America. It bridges generations, connecting grandparents to grandchildren, the past to the present. And for those who still search through rolls of coins, the sight of that gleaming half-dollar is always exciting, a spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, this one will be special. The truth is, they're all special. Because every 1985p half-dollar carries within it the unbroken story of America's resilience and remembrance. Its gleam is the reflection of ideals once spoken at a podium in Washington, ideals that live on in every collector's hand. To hold it, is to feel both the weight of loss and the lightness of legacy. A balance, struck perfectly, between memory and metal. So when you come across a 1985p Kennedy half-dollar, don't just see a coin. See a symbol, a timeless tribute pressed into metal by the hands of history itself. It's not just 50 cents. It's 50 years of remembrance. 50 moments of hope. 50 reasons why collecting coins will always be about more than money, it's about meaning. And in that meaning, the 1985p half-dollar shines brighter than ever. Now, the 1998 Canadian 1-cent coin may seem small, but within its copper glow lies a rich story of a nation's history, pride, and transformation. Minted by the Royal Canadian Mint, this humble 1-cent coin represents the final chapter of an era when pennies were still the heartbeat of daily transactions in Canada, jingling in pockets, slipping through fingers, and carrying countless memories of everyday life. When you hold a 1998 Canadian penny, you're holding a symbol of a time when even the smallest coin had value and meaning. It's more than just 1 cent, it's a link to generations that used these coins to buy candy, newspapers, or bus rides. Every mark and scratch tells a story of its journey through thousands of hands, from bustling city stores to quiet rural towns. The obverse side of the coin proudly features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Dora de Pettery Hunt. It shows the Queen wearing the royal diadem, calm, composed, and eternal. This particular portrait, used from 1990 to 2003, symbolizes the maturity and steady leadership of the monarch through changing decades. Around her, the words, Elizabeth II DG Regina, Latin for, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, appear, reminding every holder that Canada's heritage and its coins are deeply rooted in tradition and dignity. On the reverse side, designed by George Kruger Gray, you'll find the familiar image of 2 maple leaves on a twig, the national emblem of Canada. The design is simple yet deeply powerful, representing unity, peace, and resilience. Since 1937, this design has become a beloved symbol of Canadian identity, appearing on billions of pennies over the years. The 1998 Canadian 1-cent coin is made of 98% copper, 1.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, weighing 2.5 grams. It's small, just 19.05 millimeters in diameter, but it holds an enormous sentimental value for collectors. The Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa produced over 1 billion of these coins in 1998, but even with that large number, finding uncirculated or mint condition examples today is not easy. Many have been lost, melted, or discarded since Canada discontinued the penny in 2012. That's what makes the 1998 penny so fascinating. It's a survivor, a piece of a vanished monetary world. While people used to see it as almost worthless, collectors today see it as a treasure from a time when every cent mattered. In circulated condition, the 1998 Canadian penny may seem to be worth only face value. But in mint or proof condition, its value rises sharply. Coins graded Mississippi 65 or higher can sell for anywhere between $10 and $40, while proof-like examples struck for collectors can reach $75 or more, especially when preserved with a brilliant red luster. And then there are the error coins, the real stars of the 1998 mintage. These include pennies with off-center strikes, die cracks, double lettering, and planchette flaws. Some rare examples feature partial collars or weak strikes, making them uniquely imperfect. Depending on the severity and clarity of the error, these coins can fetch hundreds or even over $1,000 at auction. One of the most famous varieties collectors talk about is the 1998 near and far beads version. The beads refer to the tiny dots encircling the Queen's portrait on the obverse. On some coins, the beads are closer to the rim, on others, slightly farther away. This small difference, caused by the use of two different dies, gives collectors something fascinating to chase. The near bead version, being rarer, is especially desirable. For Canadian collectors, this coin represents a turning point, the late 1990s, when the copper penny was nearing the end of its life. In 1997, Canada switched to using zinc-based pennies coated in copper. But in 1998, the composition still retained a high copper content, giving it a warm, reddish tone. This makes the 1998 coin one of the last true copper cents ever minted in large numbers before cost-cutting changes took over. Hold a 1998 Canadian penny up to the light, and you'll see that glow, a reddish gold shimmer that seems to catch history itself. It's almost as if the metal remembers the warmth of hands that once held it, the sound of cash registers, the rhythm of small-town life. The Royal Canadian Mint, known for its precision and artistry, produced this coin with remarkable quality. Yet even the mint couldn't predict that, just 14 years later, the penny would vanish from circulation forever. The government decided it was too costly to produce, it cost more than a cent to make each one. On May 4, 2012, the last Canadian penny was struck, marking the end of a 154-year tradition. That's why coins like the 1998 1 cent are now pieces of nostalgia. They remind people of childhood, of counting pennies in piggy banks, rolling them into paper tubes, or dropping them into fountains for luck. It's not just a coin anymore, it's a time capsule. Collectors around the world are now turning their attention to Canadian pennies, especially from the late 1990s, when the designs were sharp, the minting consistent, and the copper still rich. The 1998 penny, in particular, is a favorite because it's affordable yet meaningful. It's the kind of coin that introduces beginners to the joy of collecting, small enough to start with, yet deep enough to keep studying for years. For serious numismatists, the thrill comes from finding a brilliant uncirculated 1998 cent with no carbon spots, no toning, and perfect strike. Such a coin gleams like fire, pure, unbroken, flawless. When encapsulated by professional grading companies like NGC or PCGS, these coins can achieve top grades and command premium prices. Imagine finding one in your collection, an untouched 1998 penny with full red luster, shimmering as though it were just minted yesterday. Under magnification, you'd see every detail of the maple leaves, the delicate veins, the sharpness of the Queen's hair. That's what makes coin collecting magical, the way something so small can contain such beauty. And though the 1998 penny is no longer in circulation, its legacy continues. Many collectors view it as a piece of Canadian identity, a farewell to an era of tangible money, replaced now by digital numbers and plastic cards. It's a symbol of simplicity, a reminder that even the smallest things once mattered greatly. In schools, museums, and coin clubs across Canada, the 1998 penny is often used as a teaching tool, a way to connect younger generations with their country's history and economy. It teaches that value isn't just in price, but in meaning, craftsmanship, and memory. As time passes, the number of preserved 1998 pennies will continue to decline. Oxidation, loss, and melting will take their toll. That scarcity will drive demand higher, and the humble copper coin that once bought a single piece of gum may one day be worth far more than anyone expects. Some collectors even believe that the 1998 Canadian penny represents a moment of national transition, a bridge between the old and new, between copper and steel, between tradition and modernization. So if you find one, don't overlook it. Keep it safe, clean, and dry. You're holding not just a coin, but a small piece of Canadian history, a symbol of a country that grew, changed, and evolved, just like its money. And who knows, in a few decades, this penny might not just be a nostalgic keepsake, it could become one of the most valuable small coins in North American history. Because value, in the world of coins, is never just about metal. It's about memory. The 1998 Canadian 1 cent is a story pressed in copper, a story of a queen, a leaf, and a nation that said goodbye to its smallest, yet most beloved, coin. Next, the gold $1 coin, 1789-1797, a name that sounds almost mythical to collectors, is not just a coin, but a shining relic of America's earliest years. This coin doesn't merely represent wealth, it represents the birth of a nation, the dawn of a currency system that would one day rule the global economy. When you hold this coin, you're not just touching gold, you're touching history, patriotism, and the very foundation of the United States itself. Back in the late 1700s, the idea of minting gold coins in America was revolutionary. The nation was young, fresh from its fight for independence, and eager to prove itself. The first U.S. mint opened in Philadelphia, and from 1795 to 1797, the $1 gold coin, known as the draped bust gold dollar, became one of the rarest and most elegant pieces of early American coinage. These coins were crafted not only for trade but also as symbols of the new republic's power and promise. Imagine the year 1795, George Washington had just left office, John Adams had become the second president, and America was defining its identity. Gold coins like these were the currency of merchants, ship captains, and early bankers. Each coin carried the confidence of a young nation into the hands of the people, stamped with liberty and strength. The design was nothing short of majestic. The obverse side featured Lady Liberty, her hair flowing freely, symbolizing the nation's independence and freedom of spirit. Above her head shone the word, Liberty, and 13 stars surrounded her, one for each of the original colonies that formed the Union. Her expression was calm yet resolute, embodying the courage of the people who built a country from dreams and determination. On the reverse, the design showed a majestic eagle, wings spread wide, clutching a laurel wreath, a classical symbol of victory and peace. Above the eagle, the phrase, United States of America, encircled the design, making it clear that this coin belonged to a proud, independent nation. The artistry and craftsmanship were exceptional for the time, each line and feather meticulously hand-engraved by the mint's master engravers. The coin was made of .9167 pure gold, with a small balance of copper to strengthen it, a mix that gave it a soft, warm, almost glowing color. Its diameter was around 13 millimeters, smaller than a modern dime but infinitely more valuable. Because of the high value of gold in the late 18th century, few people ever saw these coins in everyday transactions. Most were used for bank settlements, overseas trade, and high-value exchanges. Between 1795 and 1797, only a few thousand of these gold dollars were minted, and today, very few survive in pristine condition. Most were melted, lost in shipwrecks, or worn down by circulation in the young economy. This makes each surviving coin a true rarity, a piece that tells a story no paper document can match. Collectors around the world revere these coins not only for their beauty but also for their symbolism. Each 1789-1797 gold dollar represents the dream of a new America, a country that stood for liberty, honor, and hard work. In numismatic circles, owning one is like owning a piece of the Declaration of Independence itself. The value of these coins today is breathtaking. Even heavily worn examples can command prices between $6,000 and $15,000, while high-grade examples graded Mississippi 63 or better have fetched over $100,000 at auction. In 2023, a 1795 draped bust gold dollar in near-perfect condition sold for nearly $200,000, proving how sought-after these relics truly are. But the most astonishing pieces are those with unique minting varieties, like the 1795 Small Eagle and 1797 Large Eagle types. The Small Eagle design, featuring a delicate bird with outstretched wings, was quickly replaced with a larger, more powerful eagle in 1797 to symbolize America's growing strength. Both types are masterpieces in their own right, but the earlier version remains rarer and more coveted. Beyond their market value, these gold coins are historical time machines. Think of where they've been, exchanged in the first American banks, carried across oceans in merchant ships, passed between patriots and politicians in an era when every coin was counted by hand and every transaction sealed with trust. Each mark, each scratch, is a fingerprint of history. You might find faint impressions where the gold was rubbed by another coin 2 centuries ago. You might see the soft wear on Liberty's cheek, not damage, but evidence of time. To collectors, that's not imperfection, it's authenticity. The 1789-1797 gold dollars also carry deep emotional significance. They were minted at a time when America was still finding its place in the world, when gold wasn't just metal but a promise of stability. These coins circulated in a fragile economy, holding together the nation's confidence through uncertainty. The Philadelphia Mint, where they were born, was the nation's first official mint, a modest building, but one that symbolized progress and sovereignty. Skilled craftsmen worked long hours striking these gold coins by hand, with heavy screw presses operated by muscle and precision. Every strike was deliberate, every coin was personal. Many of these coins have mysterious stories attached. Some were rumored to have been gifted by George Washington to foreign dignitaries, others carried across the Atlantic as symbols of trust in American trade. Shipwreck discoveries have occasionally yielded a few of these golden treasures, perfectly preserved under the sea for over 200 years. When they resurface, the numismatic world watches in awe. There's also a spiritual aura to these coins. They represent a time when gold was not just a commodity but the standard of value and honor. To own gold was to hold power, and to mint it was to declare sovereignty. That's why these coins still inspire collectors and historians alike, because they embody the very birth of American wealth and identity. Under the magnifying glass, the 1789-1797 gold coin reveals delicate artistry, the fine curls of Liberty's hair, the minute feathers on the eagle's chest, and the elegant serifed lettering that circles the edge. Each element was engraved by hand, with tools that predated modern machinery, yet the result remains timelessly beautiful. Even the edge of the coin tells a story. Early minting methods often left subtle reading or lettering around the rim, designed to prevent gold shaving or clipping, a common problem of the era. That attention to detail shows just how advanced the mint's work was, even in its infancy. When viewed in the light, the coin doesn't just shine, it glows. It reflects not only its metallic brilliance but also the golden spirit of the American people who believed in liberty, courage, and destiny. Collectors today often describe holding one as an emotional experience. It's not just about owning gold, it's about holding the heartbeat of a nation that rose from revolution to greatness. For many, the 1789-1797 gold dollar is the most symbolic coin ever minted in America, the first true gold promise of freedom. If you ever come across one, even a damaged or partial specimen, never underestimate its value. Have it examined, authenticated, and preserved. Because you're not just holding a coin, you're holding the fire that forged a country. And who knows, somewhere in a family chest or an old coin album, one of these forgotten golden dollars might still be waiting, dusty, unassuming, and worth a fortune. This is not just gold, it's the soul of early America, pure, rare, and eternal. Now second last, the 1956 wheat penny, a small copper coin with a massive legacy. Minted at the Denver Mint, this coin carries one of the most beloved designs in American coin history, the classic wheat ears on the reverse and Abraham Lincoln's proud portrait on the front. At first glance, it looks like just another old penny. But what if I told you, this ordinary-looking coin could actually be worth hundreds, or even thousands of dollars, depending on its condition, rarity, and hidden minting errors? Imagine holding a coin that's nearly 70 years old, a piece of metal that has survived wars, recessions, and the rise of modern America. The 1956 wheat penny represents the final years of the wheat ears, designed before the U.S. Mint switched to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. It's part of an era collectors call the golden age of American copper. The D mint mark below the date tells us it was made in Denver, and the tiny letter can make a huge difference in its value. Now here's where things get fascinating. While billions of 1956 pennies were produced, over a staggering 1.1 billion, some rare varieties escaped with errors that transformed them into priceless treasures. The most famous are the double die errors, where parts of the date, lettering, or mint mark appear doubled due to misalignment during striking. A strong double die 1956 penny in uncirculated condition can easily fetch over $3,000 at auction. Another exciting variety is the repunched mint mark (RPM). During the 1950s, Mint marks were hand-punched, meaning the D for Denver was applied manually. If the punch slipped or was repeated, it could leave behind a faint shadow of a second mint mark, a clear RPM error. Some of these RPM varieties have sold for $100 to $500, depending on clarity and coin grade. Collectors also hunt for off-center strikes, die cracks, lamination errors, and BIE varieties, where a small die break appears between the B and E of Liberty, forming what looks like the letter I. These tiny imperfections make the coin unique, and in the coin world, uniqueness means value. The composition of the 1956 D wheat penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. That's real metal, unlike the modern zinc pennies of today. Over the decades, most have tarnished, scratched, or been lost to time. So, when collectors find one in brilliant uncirculated BU condition, gleaming red with no marks, it's like discovering a piece of history frozen in time. A typical circulated 1956 D wheat penny might only be worth 5 to 15 cents. But a red, uncirculated example graded Mississippi 65, red by PCGS or NGC, can easily bring $30 to $60, and if it's an error coin, that number skyrockets. Some examples with full red luster, perfect strike, and visible RPM errors have reached $2,000 to $5,000 in professional auctions. To the average eye, it's just a coin. But to a collector, every 1956 D penny holds the charm of the post-war era, a time when coins were real, heavy, and built to last. Every scratch, every tiny detail, tells a story of the hands it passed through, from the pockets of factory workers to the cash registers of small-town America. There's also emotional value here. Many people find these pennies in old family coin jars, passed down by parents or grandparents who grew up during the 1950s. For them, the coin is more than just worth, it's memory, nostalgia, and connection. And that's what makes the 1956 D wheat penny so loved. It's not just about rarity, it's about meaning. It reminds us that even the smallest coin can carry history in its shine, beauty in its design, and power in its simplicity. So next time you come across a 1956 D wheat penny, don't spend it. Look closer, hold it under the light, check the mint mark for doubling or repunching, because that tiny detail could mean the difference between 1 cent and $1,000. Many collectors say the 1956 D is one of the best beginner's coins for anyone starting a coin collection. It's easy to find, yet full of secrets for those who know where to look. In fact, some professional numismatists still enjoy searching through old rolls of pennies just to catch that one perfect 1956 D era coin. In 2025, the value of this coin continues to climb, not because it's rare in number, but because demand is increasing. Coin collectors and investors are returning to vintage copper coins, especially those with rich history and solid grading potential. Clean, original surfaces, and bright red tones are especially prized. So, whether you find one in your home, buy one at a flea market, or inherit it from family, treasure it. Because this coin carries the essence of old America, strong, proud, and timeless. And remember, the next 1956 D wheat penny you touch might not just be a coin, it might be your ticket to discovering hidden fortune and forgotten history. We move to the 2015 P5-cent coin, known to many as the modern Jefferson nickel, might seem like an ordinary piece of everyday change, small, silver in color, and common in circulation. But beneath its modest appearance lies a fascinating story of history, craftsmanship, and hidden value that surprises even seasoned collectors. It's a coin that bridges America's past with its present, honoring one of the nation's most brilliant minds, Thomas Jefferson, while showcasing the remarkable precision of modern minting. When you first look at the 2015 P nickel, it may appear simple. Yet every curve of Jefferson's face, every letter etched into its surface, tells a tale that stretches back over 80 years. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and has remained one of the most enduring designs in American coinage history. The P Mintmark, placed just to the right of Jefferson's portrait, signifies that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the birthplace of American coinage itself. This 2015 edition stands out for its extraordinary quality and the technological advancements that went into its creation. Modern U.S. coins are struck with laser-engraved dies that ensure microscopic precision. Every hair on Jefferson's head, every line in his jacket, every glint in his thoughtful gaze is perfectly replicated thousands of times per minute. The result is a coin that's not only functional but beautiful in its own quiet way. The obverse features a powerful image of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. His expression, designed by Felix Schlag, captures both wisdom and resolve, a man who dreamed of a free nation built on intellect, courage, and innovation. The words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," accompany his portrait, reminders of the ideals that shaped the American identity. On the reverse, we see Monticello, Jefferson's iconic home in Virginia. It's more than architecture, it's a symbol of enlightenment, design, and independence. The word, Monticello, is engraved in bold letters beneath the dome, along with the denomination, 5 cents, and United States of America. Together, these words and images represent the unity between vision and reality, Jefferson's dream made solid in silver-toned metal. Though billions of 2015p nickels were produced for circulation, collectors know that not all are created equal. Some coins emerge from the mint with striking errors, off-center strikes, double dies, or planchette flaws, that turn an ordinary nickel into a valuable rarity. A few 2015p nickels with visible die cracks, doubling on Jefferson's ire the word, liberty, have sold for hundreds of dollars, depending on condition and visibility of the error. Even without errors, condition plays a key role. A regular 2015p nickel in circulation might be worth 5 cents, but a flawless, Mississippi 68 or Mississippi 69 grade specimen, certified by NGC or PCGS, can fetch $50, $100 or more at auction. For a modern coin, that's impressive, and it speaks to the perfection demanded by collectors in the 21st century. But the 2015p nickel's significance goes beyond its monetary worth. It represents a continuation of a great American tradition, a coin that has survived wars, recessions, and cultural shifts, yet still remains in every pocket, purse, and register. It's the quiet link between generations, from your grandfather's era to your child's, a coin that unites stories across time. To many, Jefferson's profile serves as a reminder that America was built not only on courage but on intellect. He was an inventor, architect, diplomat, and visionary, a man whose ideas shaped the structure of modern democracy. The nickel that bears his face honors not just his leadership but his belief that progress and education are the pillars of a free nation. In the metallic shine of the 2015p nickel, you can almost glimpse the reflection of that philosophy. It's made of a blend of 75% copper and 25% nickel, materials chosen for durability and balance, metals that, like the nation itself, stand strong against time and wear. The combination gives the coin its distinctive silvery tone and subtle luster, a perfect harmony of strength and grace. The coin's dimensions, 21.21 mm in diameter and weighing 5 grams, haven't changed much since the original Jefferson nickel of 1938. But the technology behind it has evolved dramatically. Modern coining presses at the Philadelphia Mint can produce over 750 coins per minute, yet each is struck with precision that would have astonished the craftsmen of the 18th century. For collectors, the 2015p represents an era of transition, a modern coin still grounded in tradition. It's the perfect balance between history and innovation. Some numismatists collect nickels from every decade to trace how minting techniques, materials, and designs have changed, and the 2015p often stands as a benchmark for the precision of modern minting. Interestingly, some rolls of 2015 nickels have been found to contain proof-like specimens, coins struck with unusually sharp detail and mirror-like surfaces, possibly due to fresh dies or high-pressure strikes. These accidental treasures, though rare, can command exceptional premiums when authenticated. Every now and then, stories emerge of individuals finding a pristine 2015p nickel while sorting through change or unopened mint rolls. For them, it's a reminder that modern coins, too, can carry value far beyond their face amount. Sometimes it's not the rarity but the perfection, the flawless surface, the untouched shine, that creates worth. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced this coin, has been the heart of American coinage since 1792. Inside its vast, humming halls, machines roar with the rhythm of production, striking billions of coins each year. And among that endless clatter of metal, a few perfect nickels, maybe yours, come to life, destined to become collectors' treasures decades later. Even more fascinating is how this coin symbolizes continuity. Despite changing times, new designs, and digital transactions, the nickel persists. It still buys candy, completes change, and reminds us that physical money, tangible, enduring, and beautiful, still holds a special place in our world. Imagine 100 years from now, when digital currency dominates and physical coins become relics. The 2015p nickel may then be studied in museums, admired for its artistry and durability, just as we now admire coins from the early 1800s. Its ordinary nature today is precisely what will make it extraordinary tomorrow. Some collectors also cherish the coin for sentimental reasons, as the last in their grandparents' pocket change, the first coin a child learns to identify, or the coin found on the ground that sparks a lifelong love of numismatics. The emotional value, they say, can be just as precious as the financial one. Under magnification, the 2015p reveals the incredible precision of 21st century minting, clean fields, sharp letters, and uniform edges. Its brilliance, when freshly minted, rivals even silver coins in appearance. The smooth reeded edge is perfectly milled, a testament to the mint's perfectionist craftsmanship. Though many overlook it, the 2015p nickel embodies a quiet kind of legacy, a living connection to America's history, ingenuity, and perseverance. Each time you hold it, you're touching a line of continuity that stretches from Jefferson's quill to the digital age. And perhaps that's the hidden power of this unassuming coin. It teaches that even the simplest, most common things can hold stories deeper than gold, that history doesn't only live in museums or auction houses, but in the change jingling quietly in your pocket. So, the next time you come across a 2015p 5-cent coin, take a moment to look at it closely. Examine its details. Feel its weight. Remember that this small piece of metal carries within it over 2 centuries of American heritage, a living tribute to a nation's endurance, artistry, and endless pursuit of perfection. In last, the 2010D Shield Penny, a small coin that marks the beginning of a brand new chapter in American coin history. Minted in Denver, this coin may look modern and ordinary, but its design, symbolism, and unexpected collector value make it one of the most fascinating coins of the 21st century. At first glance, it's just a penny, but when you understand what it stands for, you realize it's a bridge between America's past and its future. The year 2010 was a milestone for U.S. coinage. After more than 50 years of the Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse, the U.S. Mint decided to introduce something bold and patriotic, the Union Shield. This marked the end of the Lincoln Bicentennial Series, 2009, and the beginning of the new Lincoln Shield series. The new design wasn't just aesthetic, it told a story of unity, strength, and the foundation of a nation built on freedom and perseverance. The front of the 2010D Shield Penny features the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, the same portrait that has graced the cent since 1909. But flip it over, and you'll find a powerful emblem, a Union shield with 13 vertical stripes representing the original 13 states, joined together under a single horizontal banner that reads, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. It's a symbol of unity and strength, the perfect tribute to Lincoln's legacy. Now, the 2010D Shield Penny carries the D Mintmark for Denver, where hundreds of millions were struck. But here's where it gets interesting, not all of them are the same. Some of these pennies came out with striking errors, double dies, die cracks, and off-center strikes, and these small minting imperfections have made certain examples worth far more than just 1 cent. A 2010D Lincoln Shield Penny in average circulated condition is worth its face value, 1 cent. But if you find a brilliant uncirculated BU example with full red luster, it can be worth $1 to $5, depending on its grade. However, if your coin contains a rare mint error, its value could jump dramatically. A double die reverse, where the lines on the shield or lettering appear doubled, can bring $100 to $500 or more, depending on sharpness. Even more fascinating are the die crack varieties, where small raised lines appear across Lincoln's bust or through the shield. Collectors call these cuds, or breaks, and they can sell for $50 to $200 depending on size and visibility. Off-center strikes, where the design isn't fully aligned, can reach $250 or higher for well-preserved pieces. Another important factor is color and condition. In coin grading, pennies are categorized as red RD, red-brown RB, or brown BN, with red coins commanding the highest value. A 2010D Shield Penny graded Mississippi 67 Road by PCGS or NGC can sell for $100 to $200, while in Mississippi 68 RD, a near-perfect example, has sold for over $1,000 in auctions. But this coin is not just about value, it's also about meaning. The introduction of the shield reverse symbolized America's resilience, fitting for a coin that honors Abraham Lincoln, a president who preserved the Union during its darkest hour. The shield echoes the Civil War-era emblem used on Union military flags, reinforcing the message that America remains, one nation, indivisible. The 2010 D Shield penny also marks a technological transition in minting. Unlike older copper coins, it's made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, weighing only 2.5 grams, a far cry from the heavy copper coins of the early 1900s. While purists miss the older material, collectors appreciate the sleek shine and durability of the modern cents. In the world of coin collecting, the first year of a new design is always special, and the 2010 D is exactly that. It's the first Denver minted shield cent, making it historically important for anyone building a complete Lincoln series set. Many collectors save entire rolls of these coins from circulation, hoping that pristine examples will appreciate in value over time. There are also proof and satin finish versions of the 2010 Shield penny produced for collector sets. These high-quality strikes show off the design's detail beautifully, the deep lines of the shield, the texture of Lincoln's coat, and the clean, mirror-like fields that catch the light like glass. Some of these proofs have sold for $10 to $50, depending on grade and packaging. What's remarkable is how the 2010 D Shield penny connects to over a century of Lincoln cent history. From the Wheat Ears design 1909-1958, to the Lincoln Memorial 1959-2008, to the bicentennial designs of 2009, and now the Shield, each phase represents a different chapter in the American story. The Shield cent reminds us that while times change, the ideals that hold the nation together remain strong. Imagine finding one of these coins today, gleaming bright red, edges sharp, and surface untouched. You're not just holding a penny, you're holding the first issue of a new generation of coins, a symbol of American pride and craftsmanship. Many people overlook it because it's modern, but collectors know better. They see the potential, the historical connection, and the artistry behind it. In fact, coin grading companies have already seen a rise in submissions for 2010 D Shield cents, especially those in near-perfect mint state. And if you find a 2010 D with a missing plating error, where part of the copper layer is gone, revealing the silvery zinc core beneath, don't toss it away. These errors can be quite valuable, sometimes selling for $50 to $150 depending on size and appearance. Over time, the 2010 D Shield penny has grown from just another new design to an icon in modern numismatics. It symbolizes endurance, innovation, and pride, qualities that define the U.S. Mint and the American people. So, before you spend that shiny 2010 D penny, take a closer look. Check the shield lines, inspect the mint mark, and tilt it under light to see if any doubling or cracking stands out. That 1-cent coin could be hiding a story worth hundreds, or even thousands. And who knows, maybe years from now, this first-year issue will be seen as the classic of a new era, just like the 1909 wheat penny is today. Because in the end, coins like the 2010 D Shield penny remind us of a simple truth: sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest meanings. So now, as we come to the end of this amazing journey through the world of rare and valuable coins, take a moment to think about what you've just discovered. Every coin we talked about, from the humble 1-cent pieces to the shining dimes, the powerful quarters, the half-dollar, the Canadian cent, the golden dollar, and even the old wheat penny, carries a story of its own. These aren't just pieces of metal, they're pieces of time, each one telling a silent story of history, art, and hidden value. Maybe one of these coins is already in your home, resting quietly in a jar, an old wallet, or an inherited box. You might have walked past it 100 times without realizing that you're holding something extraordinary. Because sometimes, the most ordinary-looking coin can turn out to be worth a fortune. So before you spend that old coin or trade it away, take a closer look. Examine the mint mark, the year, the shine, the small details. Each scratch and mark could hold meaning, each imperfection could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The coins we explored today are reminders that history lives on in our hands, tiny treasures that connect the past to the present. So, keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your coin collection growing, because you never know which coin will turn out to be your hidden jackpot. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the secrets of rare and valuable coins, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Rare Coin Gallery. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a single discovery, a single story, or a single chance to find treasure right where you least expect it. Who knows, the next coin you find might just make you a millionaire. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode, only on Rare Coin Gallery, where every coin tells a story.